this is Becky. Welcome back to my channel. I'm going to continue to read in the book Angel Bible. We're going to talk about angels of many lands. So we're going to start with the Old Testament angels and their roots. The first historical records of winged beings come from the Zoroastrianism, one of the world's oldest religions. The prophet Zarathustra, who lived in Persia, now Iran, no later than 1700 BCE and no later than 600 BCE, reformed the religious practices of the region, some of which were parallel to the ancient Vedic religion of northern India. Zoroastrianism has dualistic undertones, with a series of 7 beings who had the status and function of angels with good qualities, and another 7 beings with the evil qualities. Zoroastrianism is uniquely important in the history of religion because of its formative links to both Western and Eastern religious traditions. Central to Zoroastrianism is the emphasis on moral choice and of life as a battle between the forces of good and evil, represented by the Ahura Mazda, and his antithesis, the satanic Angra Mainya. These opposite forces may have emerged from the Indo-Iranian distinction between 2 forms of spiritual being, the Ahuras and the Devas. In the Zoroastrianism, Devas are portrayed as demonic and the Ahuras are angelic. Additionally, there are 20 abstract terms that are regarded as emanations or aspects of the Ahura Mazda. In later literature, they are personified as the archangel retinue of the wise Lord. So the Old and the New Testament angels. In the Old Testament, angels play an important role as messengers from God. In the New Testament, angels are present at all the major events in the life of Jesus, acting as God's agents on earth. From the Annunciation, which is Luke 1:26-38, to the Nativity, Luke 2:8-14, and finally to the Resurrection and the Ascension into heaven, Luke 24:6, John 20:12, and Matthew 28:6. To sit at the right hand of his Father, there are angels in attendance. And we have the Jewish tradition. So founded by the prophets Abraham and Moses, Judaism emerged some 3,500 years ago in the Middle East. Today there are 12 million Jews around the world, mostly living in Israel or the USA. The Jewish holy book is the Hebrew Bible, or the Tanakh. I apologize if I mispronounce these. Especially the first 5 books called the Torah. Abraham is regarded as the first patriarch of the Jewish people. The covenant with God is a common thread running throughout the early part of the Bible and one of the vital pillars of Judaism. God gave the first covenant to Abraham and the second covenant to Moses on Mount Sinai when he received the 10 Commandments. Moses is one of the most prominent figures in the Bible and one of the most influential prophets in Judeo-Christian theology. His vision of one God and the 10 Commandments given to Moses by God have been a cornerstone of human morality for 3,000 years. The manna that fed the children of Israel as they fled into the desert was the bread of angels, and of the whole of the Jewish faith is based on their patriarchs' encounters with God's angels. The Archangel Michael is the guardian angel of the people of Israel, and Jews believe that they are chosen people of their one God. But angels are not just a Jewish concept. The Jews borrowed their ideas about angels from their neighbors, particularly the Babylonians, while the Jews were in exile in Babylonia. Many of the Jewish angels could be Babylonian gods in disguise. Ancient Babylonian carved reliefs depicting winged beings guarding temples and other important buildings can be found in museum collections scattered around the world. Angels of the Kabbalah. One of the richest sources of angelic lore is the Jewish mystical tradition known as the Kabbalah. The Kabbalah is a body of information rather than a single manuscript or source. Although two early texts were the Zohar, or the Book of Splendor, and the Sefer Yetzirah, or Book of Formation. The latter was traditionally credited to Melchizedek, a priest-king of Salem, later Jerusalem, and was believed to have been passed down to Abraham, father of the Jewish nation, in a revelation. For centuries, the Kabbalah has been used by mystics as a way to experience the different aspects of creation and has been assessed by them, either by direct personal experience or through spiritual revelation, as a path or a map or a route to God. The Kabbalists, mystics, understand that the vision is a manifestation of a cosmic core reality that underpins the various elements symbolizing the structure of existence as it were created. The divine energy descends from above and gives birth to the 10 Sephiroth. The expression tree of life was popularized in the Middle Ages and is a powerful image that has captured not just the Kabbalist tradition, but that of other cultures as well, surfacing in Australian rock art and in Hopi and Celtic traditions. The mystical aspects of the Kabbalah is the Shekinah, the female manifestation of God in a man. The Shekinah is known as the Bride of the Lord, or Angel of Love and Blessings. As the feminine aspect of God, she is also known as the Liberating Angel. To the average Christian or Jew, this was blasphemy. Perhaps for this reason, the study of the Kabbalah was limited by the rabbis to married men over the age of 40. Today it is widely acceptable for both men and women of any age to study the Kabbalah. The expression, the Shekinah rests or resides, is used for a paraphrase in Genesis 48:16 for God dwells, as uttered by Israel, Jacob, in the angel that redeemed me from all evil. In the Christian tradition, the Shekinah is the lost female aspect of God. In the Eastern Orthodox Church, many cathedrals are dedicated to her as Holy Wisdom. She is one of the archangels, winged, dressed in white, seated on a throne, holding a scroll in the second Enoch. Next we have Christian angels. So angels are represented throughout the Catholic Bible as intermediary spiritual beings forever traveling between God and man. As St. Augustine and St. Gregory explained, angel is the name of the office, and it expresses neither their essential nature nor their essential function. This means that angels are the attendants of God's throne in the court of heaven. The function of the angelic host is to act as assistants to God, and more than once the 7 angels of the presence are described. Catholics are very clear about angels being God's instrument of communication. In Jacob's vision, angels are witnessed ascending and descending to heaven. An angel of God found Agar in the wilderness, and angels drew Lot out of Sodom. An angel announces to Gideon that he is to save his people. An angel announces Samson's birth, and the archangel Gabriel instructs Daniel, although he is not called an angel in either of these passages, but the man Gabriel. The same messenger announces the birth of St. John the Baptist and the incarnation of the Redeemer, while tradition says that he is the messenger of shepherds and the angel who strengthens Jesus on the cross. The prophet Zechariah gives the revelation that the angel is speaking in him. This is an important point because it clearly defines the angelic guidance as coming within and not an outside vision speaking to him. Throughout the Bible, it is repeatedly implied that each individual soul has a tutelary angel. This is the point of faith to many Catholics. Catholic doctrine also dictates that our guardian angel can intercede with God on our behalf. Saint Ambrose said, "We should pray to the angels who were given to us as our guardians." Catholics have a hierarchy of angels. Cherubim feature in the Bible, as do the seraphim. Angels are mentioned only in St. Jude, but St. Paul gives lists of other heavenly groups. He tells us in Ephesians 1:21 that Christ is raised up above all principality and power and virtue and dominion. And in Colossians 1:16 he says, "In him were all things created in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or principalities and powers." Next are the Buddhist and the Hindu angels. So Buddhism is based on the teachings of the Buddha, the one who has awakened. The Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, was born around 563 BCE. His teachings, the Tripitaka, form the basis of the many different forms of Buddhism. Buddhists do not believe in a personal creator God. The primary Buddhist belief is that through rebirth we learn to release our desires and attachments, which ultimately leads to enlightenment. The Buddhists believe that angels are Buddhavistas, or enlightened ones, beings whose Buddhahood is assured, but who have postponed entering nirvana in order to help others to attain enlightenment. The Buddhavistas often reveal themselves to humans as forms of light emanations or through meditation. Many Buddhavistas are revered. Hinduism. Although some of its elements are much older, Hinduism originated some 3,000 years ago. The Vedas are the most sacred Hindu religious texts. Hinduism is not a single unified religion. It has no founder, no prophet, or single teacher. Hindus believe in a universal soul or God called Brahman. All other Hindu deities, such as Vishnu, the preserver, Shiva, the destroyer, and Krishna, are aspects of the Brahman, the creator. Brahman is the sole reality, and it's present in all things. The Brahman has no form, and it's eternal. He is creator, preserver, and transformer of everything. Brahman appears in the human spirit as Atman, or the soul. In Hinduism, there are no references to angels, but there are spirits who perform similar functions. Gandharvas are often portrayed as having wings. They are well known for their musical skills and the power to cast illusions. They were sometimes the attendants of the devas, angelic beings called the Shining Ones, who help men on their spiritual quest. There is a direct reference to angels in the introduction to the Jataka. When Queen Mahamaya conceived the future Buddha, she was carried to the Himalayas by 4 guardian angels, and after conception, the queen was guarded by 4 angels with swords. 4 Mahabrahma angels attended the Buddha's birth. The Dhammapalas are protectors of the Dharma, and they can often appear as angelic beings. In Tibetan Buddhism, celestial beings are called devas, and they often appear before humans as emanations of light. Then we have Islamic angels. So Islam has a vast hierarchy of the Malaika, which are angels, having inherited the concept of angels from Judaism and Christianity. Indeed, belief in angels is one of the 6 pillars of Islamic faith. In descending order of importance, the angels of the Islamic faith are the 4 throne bearers of Allah, symbolized by a bull, a man, a lion, and an eagle, which was inspired by the revelation of St. John in the New Testament. The cherubim, who praise Allah constantly. the four archangels: Gabriel, the revealer, who revealed the Quran to Muhammad; Michael, the provider; Israel, the angel of death, who separates men's souls from their bodies; and Israfil, the angel of the last judgment of Allah. There are also lesser angels known as the Hafsa, who are guardian angels. In Islam, Gabriel, which I believe is pronounced Jibril for them, acts as a messenger between God and man, and is a bearer of revelation to the prophets of God. Muhammad mentions Jibril by name 3 times in the Quran, and it is Jibril and Mikael who purify the prophet's heart in preparation for his ascension into heaven. Jibril guided Muhammad through the various levels of heaven to reach the throne of God. Jibril also helped Muhammad by coming to his aid at the Battle of Badr in 624 CE, with thousands of angels telling him to attack the Jewish tribes of Banu Kawayuka and the Banu Qurayza. And again, I apologize for not speaking their language. As Shaitan is the evil one, the Islamic devil, who is prince of evil angels and bad spirits. The Quran says that angels were created from light and from the jinn, which are evil angels. They were created from smokeless fire. Malik is the angel who is the keeper of hell. Islamic angels have wings and are beautiful in appearance. They are also vast because the Prophet Muhammad described Jibril as filling the space between heaven and earth. He also saw Jibril's true form. He had 600 wings that covered the horizon, and pearls and rubies fell from his wings. The number of angels is not known in Islam. Only Allah knows how many angels there are. Then we have the Mormons. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormon Church, was founded in 1830 in New York by Joseph Smith. He was born in 1805 and died in 1844. And he had developed by Brigham Young, 1801 to 1877. The church is centered on Christ, but has substantial differences in belief to the Catholic, Protestant, and Orthodox Christian churches. Mormons believe people can be baptized into their faith even after they have died. They also believe that Joseph Smith was a prophet of God and that humans can become gods in the afterlife. Scripture, the Mormon holy books, includes the Holy Bible, the King James Version, the Book of the Mormon, another testament of Jesus Christ, Doctrine and Covenants, a compilation of revelations and writings, and the Pearl of the Great Price, a selection of revelations, translations, and writings of Joseph Smith. The Book of Mormon is at the center of the Mormon faith. They believe that this book tells the story of God's dealings with the ancient inhabitants of the American continent, including a visit by the risen Jesus to the people in the New World. Mormon was an ancient American prophet who compiled the history of the ancient civilization from old records. The document was inscribed on plates of gold, which Mormon's son Moroni buried for safety in what is now New York State. Moroni returned in 1823 as an angel and showed Joseph Smith, the founder of the church, where the plates were hidden. Smith translated the plates into the Book of Mormon, which was first published in 1830. Joseph Smith received his vision in the spring of 1820 while praying in the woods. He saw a pillar of light within which were 2 glorious figures. Then we have the Celtic angels. So Celts are defined as a group of Indo-European people, originally from Central Europe, who spread to Western Europe, the British Isles, and the southeast to Galatia, which is Turkey, during pre-Roman times, especially the Britons and the Gauls. The pre-Christian Celts were well-organized social hierarchy and culture. They produced little in the way of literary output, preferring the bardic storytelling tradition. Druid priests in ancient days were given the secrets of the universe in visions. The priests were not allowed to write down their secrets, so all mystic knowledge had to be passed from master to pupil, which meant that a long apprenticeship was required to become a Druid priest. The Celts believed in reincarnation and the continuity of the soul. They interpreted the world using the Celtic tree of life. For the ancient Celts, their Anamachra, the angel or soul friend, was part of their daily life. Celtic angels are spiritual beings who take a very special interest in humans, especially those who are spiritually aware or just developing their spirituality. Celtic angels play the role of guardians or companions very much like the totem animal does in other shamanic traditions. The New Age movement and interest in native cultures has brought about a huge upsurge of interest in Celtic angels. Celtic angels dwell on several levels. The highest level has those angels who are in constant contact with the God force, very similar to the Buddhavistas, enlightened beings who delay entering the heavenly realm in order to assist the spiritual development of others. The next level of full angels who are ascending to God, and the third level holds the angels that are closest to us and our physical world. The Anamachara closest to us is the easiest to contact when we're meditating in natural places such as groves, woods, waterfalls, or by lakes, and produces great results as these places are full of the Anamachardae, which is the plural of Anamachara. Like other angels, their Anamachara can appear in any form that is appropriate, even occasionally taking on the human form. And if it is appropriate, it will have wings. Then we have the First Nations legends of North America and shamanism, which is again one of my favorites, being of the Cherokee descendants. The Thunderbird is a mythological creature found in the spiritual lore of many First Nations in North America. This mythical creature's name derives from the idea of the movement of its huge wings that caused thunder. The Lakota name for the Thunderbird is the Waikinyan. Again, I apologize for my pronunciations. From the words the Kinyan, meaning wings, and Wiccan, meaning sacred. The Kwakiyolt called it the Ohakwa, and the Nootka named the creature Kwiunkswa. I'm so sorry. The Thunderbird is enormous with a 2-canoe-length wingspan that can create a storm as it flies. Clouds are bundled together, causing thunderclaps, and streaks of lightning issue from its eyes as it blinks. It carries glowing snakes of lightning bolts within its beak. It is depicted in masks as many-colored, 2-horned, and with teeth in its beak. Thunderbirds are sometimes thought to be solitary creatures living on mountaintops or traveling as a group. The mountaintop thunderbirds were servants of the Great Spirit and flew about only to carry messages from him. The Kwakiyolt and the Cowichan tribes believed that the non-solitary thunderbirds took on human form while tilting their beaks backward like a mask and throwing off their feathers like a blanket. There are stories of these human thunderbirds marrying humans. This is the mythical Thunderbird, an angel. It does carry messages and brings light. a cryptozoological bird or related to the Ruk from the Persian legend. The Ruk was reported to be able to carry off an elephant and eat it. The thunderbird could also be related to the phoenix of the Egyptian mythology, the fabulous bird that periodically regenerates itself. It is used in literature to symbolize death and resurrection. According to legend, when it reached the end of its 500-year span, it burned itself on a pyre of flames, and from the ashes a new phoenix arose. Shamanism. In shamanic cultures, the healer often takes the form of a bird to travel through different worlds in search of its patient's soul fragment. The ritual coats of present-day Siberian shamans are produced to resemble birds with feathers, and although in all the forms of the shamanism across Asia, there is very little interest in the production of concrete images of winged humans, the belief that the shaman can fly is universal. Then we have ancient Egypt and ancient Greece, which I enjoyed studying when I was in college. There appear to be no distinctly angelic beings in Egyptian mythology, although there is a sacred phoenix, which was the symbol of immortality. The phoenix represents the sun, which dies each night and rises again each morning. At the end of its life cycle, the phoenix builds a pyre of cinnamon twigs, which it ignites, burning itself to ashes from which the new bird emerges. The new phoenix embalms the ashes of the old one in an egg made of myrrh, which it deposits in Heliopolis, located in Egypt. Originally, the phoenix was a stork or a heron-like bird called a Benu, known from the Book of the Dead. It is closely associated with the sun god Amun-Ra. Religion in ancient Egypt was a very important part of everyday life. Daily, the priests attended to the images of their gods, who were thought to be manifest in the image. The Egyptian gods and goddesses often had animal heads. Anubis, the jackal-headed god of the dead, is an example. Though the Egyptians had many deities, only a few appear to have wings. Isis, on one occasion, used her wings to breathe life into her dead husband, brother Osiris, and to conceive Horus. The goddess Nut was portrayed as a woman with a pot on her head with vulture wings, or a woman covered in stars bending over the earth. Greek angels. The word daemon in ancient Greek meant an inspiring spirit. The goddess Nike and her son Eros served as angelic images for later depictions of angels. And then we have New Age. The New Age movement is a free-flowing spiritual transformation that differs from all the other religions. It has no prophets, no holy texts or sacred books, no membership, no religious centers, no creed, no priests, nuns, clergymen, and importantly, no hidden agendas. The New Age movement does, however, use some mutually accepted terms such as chakra, aura, and chi, and many New Agers believe in reincarnation and the continuation of the soul after death. All New Agers define themselves as seekers of personal truth, knowledge, and wisdom as they seek to live a balanced lifestyle, usually by acknowledging and developing the spiritual aspects of their psyche. A new golden age. Belief in angels and other highly evolved spiritual beings is increasing as the age of Aquarius unfolds. Most New Agers believe a new golden age will develop in which gender, race, religion, age, social status, and other forms of discrimination will end. I believe that. When they say end of times, it just means end of times as we've known it. That's all it means. Ego, tribal, and national attachments will be replaced by global responsibility as the Earth's inhabitants seek to eradicate war, poverty, hunger, and disease. Belief in angels is not confined to the New Age movement. In fact, the belief in angels goes back to the dawn of civilization. But many New Agers feel that the movement is angelically led, through personal contact with their own guardian angel. Currently, there are many books available on angels, and everything angelic seems to be on the increase. Some New Age seekers add on New Age beliefs to the existing religious affiliations or backgrounds, and all seekers believe in a divine intelligence that underpins the fabric of the universe. The New Age movement started in the late 1960s, but early signs of its birth appeared in the 19th century with writers such as the Elena. Sorry, I think there's a. Either that or my hair. Something's itchy. Oh my gosh, sorry. Okay, the New Age movement started in the late 1960s, but the early signs of its birth appeared in the 19th century with writers such as the Elena Blavatsky, which is 1831 to 1891, who started the Theosophy Society. Astrology, Buddhism, channeling, Hinduism, Gnostic traditions, paganism, spirituality, and Wicca have all had an impact on New Age movement. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and end the video here, and we will continue in the next video talking about angel visions. So, thank you so much for being here, and until the next time, the light in me honors and respects the light in you, and I hope you have a blessed day.